Hi, welcome to Got the T-shirt. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Sharon.
And today we're going to talk about online dating. It's not something I currently do. I haven't done it for over 10 years. But Sharon is currently single and
Dating.
dating a lot with online dating.
I'm trying to. I'm trying to. It's very hard out there. Very difficult to date these days. Definitely.
But I am going to ask a series of questions, as it's obviously not something I do. It's something I'm interested in knowing about. And Sharon is going to kindly give us the answers. So from your perspective,
Okay.
do you prefer dating apps based on personality, values and interests, or the Tinder swipe right style?
Swipe right style, to be honest, because I think it doesn't matter how good somebody is on paper unless they're visually appealing to you. You will have very little interest, especially straight out the gate, because you're not meeting them in a face-to-face setting. It's online, so you're in a virtual world. So yeah, definitely a swipe right. Definitely the pictures first, and then you look at the bio.
So with Tinder, because you can swipe multiple times, can't you, on lots of different people in each time you log in?
That's correct.
So if there's a few people that maybe, I don't know how many people you would swipe on. If you get some matches, isn't it? You'd get matches.
Yeah.
If you get some matches and say you had a couple of matches and one person has got lots of information in their bio and one person's just got like nothing, would that switch your attention more towards the one that's got something that's made the effort to write some bits and pieces, or does it not make any difference?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely. If somebody's made an effort in their profile and it's quite a decent effort, I'm a stickler for grammar. So yeah, I'm one of those. I like people to write correctly, unfortunately. But that's just my preference. But yeah, I like someone with a fairly decent, who's made a bit of effort at least. The ones that say just ask, I wouldn't. Yeah,
It's quite lazy, yeah.
it is really lazy. So I swipe off of that. I won't entertain that.
So anybody that's thinking of creating an account and wants to start dating, it's definitely not a waste of time for them to sit and write some bits and pieces.
Yeah, it
to write
doesn't
something
have to
meaningful.
be an essay. It really doesn't have to be an essay. I tend to do my likes and preferences and what I bring to the table. It is quite simple, really. What type of person I am. I'm vegetarian. I'd probably mention that. And I've got a dog. The essential little things that are quite
Yeah.
essential to me. And
So it
just
doesn't have to be War and Peace, just a bit about who you
yeah,
are.
and just something nice, But I always put, I want to make the world a better place, which I do.
Oh,
People tend to, I know, right? People tend to comment on that.
oh,
So,
cool. Okay. Is it hard to distinguish between the people looking for love and those just looking for hookups? I mean, is it obvious? Do they make it obvious, or do they hide it? Or
a lot of the dating apps now, you have what you're looking for, your preferences, like short term, long term, love of your life, casual.
oh wow.
There is a list. There is, different dating sites call it different things. Some people call it casual, some people call it short term. Short term, open to long term. There's a good one. Yeah, right. Um. So yeah, it and then some guys just say, I'm just looking to hook up.
At least they're honest.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how many hits they'd get on that, but yeah, no, definitely. I think there are actual hookup sites for that, to be fair.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I have a friend who knows all about that. So yes, I think there are hookup sites that you just want to hook up, you just go on there. But I I assume people still look for it on other sites such as Tinder and Bumble and places like that.
Okay. How long between initial online contact and meeting in person in your experience?
It varies. It varies for me. It all depends on um the consistency of the messaging. I like to video call before I agree to meet anybody because I was catfished quite spectacularly once. So never again. So with that in mind, as long as the texting and the messaging is back and forth, and then there's phone calls that come in next, and then it's quite consistent, because you can get to know someone's habits and quite well by just the messaging side of things. So it tends to be, I would say, a week, 2 weeks, depends where they are, because mine tend to be a bit of a distance. So it
If it goes longer than a couple of weeks, does then that make it less likely that you're going to meet up? Like,
not necessarily, because sometimes it can build. Sometimes it can build up. There's like a gradual build up with the communication, and then like, say, like somebody's out of the country, or they're at the other end of the country and they're coming down here for work or something, or whatever it is. It can be a slow, like almost sustainable build, really, because I've had that before.
okay, so there's no like right or wrong. It's kind of, it could be a week.
No,
2 weeks,
no,
3
but
weeks.
I would never start talking to someone and then go meet them in the same day. I would
No.
never do that. I think that is way too fast, because and if somebody wants to see you that quick, that sort of indicates it's a bit of a red flag to me, to be honest, if somebody's trying to speed date you on that sort of level. So it's always best to be cautious and get to know someone for at least a few days first. Build a bit of rapport with them. Let your instincts have enough time to kick in about this person.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
And the video calls are very important before you meet.
Are there things in a person's profile that they've either written or in a picture that they posted that will immediately make you swipe left in horror?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The things that give me the ick are guys who do photos wearing sunglasses indoors. Yes, that's the thing. That's real. That's very real. And if I notice they're not groomed, they've got long nails or something, absolutely not. I can deal with the fish pictures. The fish photos are fine. I can handle the fish photos. In the profile, I've come across some that their demands are mustn't be more than a size 10, career-driven, busty. Oh, this one got me. Busty, and gives head, and in brackets, non-negotiable.
Wow.
Right? Non-negotiable on giving head. Yeah. And he was I'll never forget this. He was some uni guy, looked a bit of a hobo type, in this rundown kitchen, posing. And he was posing, like doing muscle poses, and he didn't even have any muscles. It was just horrendously bad. And I thought, who on earth is going to swipe on you? But I suppose there's someone out there for everyone, so they say. So yeah,
Wow.
shocking. Yeah, so you do see some, and I know it works both ways. I've heard some guys say that there's some women out there with some pretty tight demands too. So it's a two-way street.
Okay. Do dating apps need to be improved with regards to people's safety? Are they safe?
I think so. I think so, because a lot of the dating apps, they do have a little guidance section somewhere. I'm sure I've read that. I'm sure I've seen it somewhere, where they sort of advise you to meet in a group setting, don't go to someone's house, don't get in someone's car, that sort of thing. But above all, use your instincts. That's why, especially us women, that's why we have them for. Use your instincts with people. I mean, I've had a couple of near misses with people, not that I've been in danger. But I remember once I cancelled this guy at the last minute because my child was ill, and he hit the roof. He absolutely hit the roof. And he said, I've taken time off work. I've done this. And it was an evening thing as well. But he had taken some extra time off work to get ready and go to the gym and do whatever he needed to do. And he absolutely went mad because I said, can we reschedule? And that was my red flag right there. So because he wasn't, oh my God, I'm so sorry, is your child all right? He didn't care about that. He was just like, oh my God, you know what I've gone through to get this afternoon off, and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, um, sometimes red flags hit you straight away, and that one caught me. So,
Wow.
which I'm happy for.
Yeah. Um, and I guess also you shouldn't share too much information about like your exact location or, you know.
Oh, because stalkers. Yeah, I've had a couple of stalkers over the years, but not recently. But yeah, giving away too much information to start with. Um, and again, use your instincts with people, because generally these flags do start flapping quite early. There'd be little signs, if somebody starts wanting to go through, say, your Facebook profile right the way back to the beginning, like I had with someone once. Yeah, yeah, it went right back to the beginning, and um, and was saying, "Who's this guy? Who's that guy?" From years ago, people who
Ah.
had liked my photos. Yeah, um, and yeah, so if they know where you work and stuff like that, obviously it's going to make you easily accessible if they're local to that area, of course. But
Mm.
yeah, just try and keep a bit of mystery. That's what I try and do. Keep a bit of mystery to you to start with until you get to know someone anyway. Because sometimes, especially with instincts, it takes a little while for them to, as you talk to someone and get to know someone more, they
Yeah,
will,
that's probably the
they will
safest way to play it as well, isn't it?
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Don't be oversharing straight away. Don't be doing that.
Mm. Okay. Um, do you feel rejected if someone suddenly stops talking to you online?
Yeah.
If you suddenly
Sometimes. I mean, I've had it done to me, and to be honest, I've done it to other people. I think it's called ghosting. I'm guilty of that. I moved on to someone else. I mean, most of the time, I turn around and say, do you know what? I'm really not feeling this. I'm really sorry. And that's all it takes. That is all it takes generally. I mean, you'll get some people who turn around and say, but you don't know me. You haven't taken the chance to get to know me. And it's like, no, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, but, and it's like, no, mate, stop. You're not for me. All right. Oh, well, if you're not even going to give me a chance, you kind of get it like that. But yeah, no, I've had it where I thought somebody is pretty good and we've got on really well, and then nothing. And all what's happened is they've moved on to someone else. It's a very, very quick shifting system, this online dating. It really moves fast. Things
wow.
change overnight. Not even that, in an hour, they can change.
Well,
Somebody new comes on, someone shinier, off they go. I mean, it's just,
wow.
yeah, it's really cutthroat. It's really cutthroat, Rach. Definitely.
I guess if you thought you were having a really great conversation with somebody and you were regularly, it was becoming a regular daily thing, and then suddenly goes to nothing, you shouldn't take it too personally then, because that's kind of hard
No,
not to, isn't it? If you've built up a
yeah,
bit.
it is. It is, especially if you haven't spoken to someone who ticks your boxes for a while, and it sounds like they do. Then yeah, I guess it can be really disappointing. Um, then you just got to move on and wait for the next one. Go and join a different app. There's loads of apps with loads of different people. The options out there, Rachel, are phenomenal. I'm not kidding. It is crazy. You'll join another app and there's like 1,000 other men that you haven't seen. I mean, there's going to be
Wow.
some that are doing all the apps, of course, but yeah, just move on. Find a different app. Try something else.
Okay. Um, does dating online become addictive? Are you constantly checking for messages or new matches?
I think in the early days, yeah, because you're like a kid in a sweet shop. The options are phenomenal, and I mean, a lot of them now, I think, especially the swiping ones. I'm sure it's Bumble. You have a limited amount of likes unless you want to start paying. You can buy more likes, so you couldn't go through and just like everybody. You'd have to buy more likes if you wanted
Mm.
that.
I guess if you're swiping multiple people,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean multiple people are swiping you back.
No,
So
exactly. Exactly. You're not everyone's cup of tea.
no, I just
No.
thought like if you're out in the day or you're out, so I don't know, are you constantly picking up your phone like every time it makes a noise? Are you constantly like, oh, who's messaging me now or who's talking to me now? Like, and it goes to your head a bit because all of a sudden you're in demand.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to talk to you. Like, that must be quite an
Yeah.
addictive feeling.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is. It is an ego boost. I won't lie. It is an ego boost, but it's also at times it can be overwhelming because you also need to remember what you've spoken to people about, what you know about them already. Because sometimes I used to find myself going back up the messages, trying to figure out where they were from. Oh my God, how old are you again?
Oh,
How
yeah.
many kids you got again? How long have you been single again? Because it just becomes too much. So you do have to pace yourself. Otherwise, you get yourself into a bit of a pickle and you end up looking like you're talking to hundreds of people because you turn around and you say, oh, where are you from again? It's like, you have to make out that they're the only one that you're sort of like talking to, really, even though they know that you're not. You kind of have to have a bit of decorum about you.
Yeah. God, it just sounds really hard. Well,
It is. It's not
it sounds
easy. It is
exhausting.
not easy. It really isn't easy, this dating malarkey these days. It really isn't. And the thing is, things change so fast, so fast.
Um, so once you make a connection with someone that you're planning to meet, should you stop talking to other people or keep your options open?
That's a good question. That's a good question. And it's one I've been faced with, even recently. It's one I've been faced with recently. Um, Advice to other people, I would probably say not immediately. Keep your options open, definitely. Because like I said, things do change. You could go on a date with this person. You could have a few dates with this person and nothing comes of it. And if you turn around and tell, like, say, for example, you're talking to 4 people and there's one in particular you like, you've gone and met them, you've had a few dates with them, and you've turned around to the other 3 and you've gone, really sorry, but there's somebody I like, I'm going to pursue this. So they go off, find somebody else or whatever. So you have a few dates with this person and then something happens and you think, oh, actually, they're not for me, or they think that about you. Then you've got to go back to those other 3 that you kind of liked, but they weren't at your top preference. And you've got to try and, rebuild the bridges, as it were. So just delay it. That would be my advice, just to delay it a little bit. I think everybody is guilty of that on some level, because there'll always be somebody that you prefer above others that you want to meet, but it's nothing to say it's going to work out. So just pace yourself a little bit and be a bit realistic. And they shouldn't be asking you that early on to quit the apps anyway.
Yeah.
Not unless you're going to take things seriously, but you shouldn't be doing that soon, to be fair, anyway.
No, nobody wants to be your plan B, C, and D, do they?
No, and they certainly don't want to know about it. If they are, they aren't to know about it. Do you know what I mean? You just try and sort of try and keep it on the low key.
Yeah.
But that's sometimes how it goes. And sometimes these plan Bs, plan Cs, they could be the person you end up with.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
It's just your initial attraction, your initial connection, your initial drive, desire for someone else may be stronger. And then it's not
Yeah.
until you either get knocked back or you'd think, do you know what? You've given me the ick, or you're not all that, or, you've got a crazy ex stalking you or whatever. And then you go back and you look at your plan B and plan C, and and you meet up with them, and then anything can happen. And they could be your person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Um, Sexual conversations, does it ruin
Yeah.
the potential of a more meaningful relationship from forming?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I try and avoid this. I think a bit of sexy banter, a bit of playfulness, I think it's a necessity, because you don't want to come across as too straight, too formal, and too much of a prude. But there is a balance there with that. And I think the way I do it is I just do a bit of sexy banter, just a bit of flirting, just brush over it, but do not have sexual conversations within the first conversations. Absolutely not. And I probably wouldn't even do it on a first date either. Like, conversation wise, I wouldn't discuss it. And have some boundaries. I know men do push at times, but if you have some boundaries there, they do end up respecting you more. And I think the faster they get the prize, the quicker they run afterwards. So I tend to take my time, and these days I'm a bit more careful with who I share my energy with. So just there's no rush whatsoever, even though it may feel like the best and the chemistry may be off the charts. I've had that plenty of times. Just hold back, just, ground yourself, stay in your lane of keeping your feet on the ground, because I think it's so, so important. If you want that to work out with that person, if you want to risk it, then do it. But I personally don't. I'd like something more meaningful and long term, and I'm not going to get that by sleeping with everybody straight away.
No,
They just
I
don't
think
want, and I don't want that.
no, I think it's I think from when back like 10 plus years ago when I was online, I think it's very easy to have a conversation that all of a sudden takes a turn, and then suddenly you're talking about things that you wouldn't if you were on a face-to-face date with that person, that you probably wouldn't have talked about. But it's so much safer in the comfort of your house behind a screen, and you suddenly start saying all these things, and then you kind of think the next day, oh, why did I steer it like that? Because now I
You
feel
can't
like
come back from it.
no, I
Yeah.
can't. I can't come back. And it's like I've kind of sabotaged it in a way, because now they think that that's what I'm looking for, and it wasn't really. It's just that the conversations just ended up gravitating that way unintentionally, but they did.
Yeah. And I think that happens, especially when you start talking to someone who you think is incredible looking and they're really sexy and stuff like that, and they think the same way about you. There's a burning chemistry there, and it is a slippery slope, because you can't come back. You can't come back up. Once you've gone down it, they've got that image, that conversation, that visualization in their head, and that's all they can think about. It's like, so, and it'd be hard to get it back. It's hard to rein it back. But there's a level of respect there that you must maintain for yourself. And I've done it. I've done it. I hold my hand up. I've done it. I've absolutely done that myself, where I've spoken to someone, the conversations have got sexual, and I thought, there's just no way back. There's no way back once that gate is opened.
Yeah.
It's and then you've got a decision to make, because that's probably not going to be long term with that person
Yeah.
if you go ahead with it.
Oh, okay.
That it is.
Do you think online dating apps have made us lazy due to their convenience?
No, I wouldn't have said that. Oh God,
Well, it's
yes
very
and no.
convenient to use an app rather than to force yourself to get ready, get dressed, go out of the door, physically put yourself out there to meet someone in a different way. It's so much easier just to literally turn on an app, and it's like poop, 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 like, no effort involved there.
It is, but also when you go out the door, wherever you were going, you're also restricted to that vicinity, that area, that pub, that bar. You may put the effort in to go out. I mean, even if you do some speed dating or whatever, you go to those bars that do that. I think that still happens these days. I'm really fussy with what I'm looking for in a person, and I live in a village of 4,500 people, I think. And there aren't many of them around, let alone single ones. So online dating is a godsend for people like me that like something in particular, that are looking for a particular person. So, and the thing is, I wouldn't say it's lazy, because there's a lot of admin involved when you're online dating. There's a lot of juggling. There's a lot of saying the same stuff over and over and over again. So it may not be completely physical. It may just be your fingers moving and not your legs. But I think it's a better way of doing it, if I'm honest, because you have more options. And I've met some really, truly lovely people. over the years. I really have. But I get what you're saying, to go out and meet people, you know,
You're saying there's just as much effort doing it online.
it is just as much effort, if not more, because you need to speak to hundreds of people. Hundreds. It really, that's what it feels like. It's hundreds of people over the years. So I've spoken to so many.
Okay. And the last one.
Okay.
Do you miss the old style of meeting people, just like going to a pub or joining a club or attending a singles event for meeting new people? Do you miss the old pre-internet, pre-online?
No. I mean, not unless it was a place filled with the people that I would like to date. I mean, that would be ideal. I mean, I suppose in an ideal world, you'd go to Tesco's and bump into someone up the milk aisle, The reality is very, very different. I mean, yes, going to a club, I mean, we're sort of at our age. I don't really do clubs anymore, but
No, I just remember being that sort of in my sort of late teens, early 20s, that buzz of going to a pub or a club and just clocking someone.
We lived for it, didn't we?
Those feelings were the best, and you literally went home that night and you were like, oh, God, and
met so and so,
and I've got a number, and it was just such a buzz, It was like that. I just don't know if you could replicate. I mean, maybe you can replicate it, but I don't know if it can be replicated the same with just a little ping on your phone and so's just saying, hi, how's your night? I don't know if you'd get the same, but it is what it is. This is where we are.
I don't know, because I've had relationships with people that I've met online, and once the attraction is there and you're getting on really well with someone, it kind of is still really just as exciting. It's just that you met them online. It's just that initial contact coming together wasn't when you were drunk in a club, because so in some ways you've got your wits about you more, and not your sort of beer goggles on. So
yeah, no,
I prefer doing it this way, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was all my questions. I found that quite interesting, quite useful. At the moment, I am obviously in a relationship, but if I should ever find myself back out there in the dating world, then
come to me for some advice.
I'll come to you for some advice. But it's good to know that the apps have evolved a bit. I think I think Tinder just started out when I was last single, and I mean, I'm hoping it's moved on a lot more than when it was what it was when it first started.
Yeah. I think, I mean, I'm not on any of them at the moment, but they're trying to take more money from you now than they were back then. It was mostly free, I think, to start with, and then all of a sudden they put all the charges and that in for more likes, or see people who have liked you but you've not liked them back, kind of thing. It's gone down that road. I do have a funny dating story if you'd like to hear it.
Oh, go on then. Yes.
It was a few years ago when I was a larger lady. I went on a date with a guy. He picked me up in his truck. I knew him. It wasn't a stranger. I knew this guy anyway.
Was it an online? Did you meet him online?
No. Do you know what? No, it wasn't. It was no, it wasn't. It was somebody that I sort of knew through a friend anyway. And he came and picked me up. We went to go to a pub, and he said, actually, I've been invited to a wedding and it's nearby. Should we go to that? And I thought, well, go on then. So we go to this wedding, and it's an open bar.
Hang on a minute. You're going to a wedding, but you don't know the people. He's been invited to a wedding.
He's been invited to a wedding. It's a guy from his work, and he said it's a marquee and everything, and he said it's only up the road. So
he was allowed +1.
Sorry?
So he was allowed to take a +1.
Yeah.
So hang on a minute. Sorry, I just need to rewind back a bit. So it's like, so he's invited to a wedding, and he's just going to take a rat.
No, he wasn't going to.
Wait. Oh, he wasn't going to go. Oh, okay.
He wasn't going to go because he had no one to go with. He wasn't going to go because he didn't have anyone to go with. And then we had arranged this date, and then the pub that we were going to go to, he said, "Oh my God, I was invited to a wedding and it's just up around the road. It was out in the countryside. There's big marquee and everything." He said, "Do you want to go to that?" And I was like, "Oh, go on then." So yeah, so I was kind of up for that, as I was back then, anything for adventure. So we went to the wedding and it was an open bar, free bar. Huge mistake. Anyway, in the garden, they had one of those big, huge bouncy castles for the kids, but it was like an assault course. Okay. So I takes my sandals off and I go trundling in. I've had a few wines. I go trundling in and there was like this ladder that you go up and then you go into like this ball pit area. Anyway, so I go up this ladder and I go over the wall and I'm in the ball pit area and there's walls all around me. And where I was quite big then, I couldn't actually get out. So I was in there going, "Help, help." Anyway, I don't know where he was because he didn't even go to the bouncy castle with me. I went off trundling to the toilet, saw a bouncy castle, thought, right, I'm going to go and have a go. So I'm shouting, "Help." And one of these kids goes, "I'll go and get my mum." And I was like, "No, get your dad. Because I thought he's going to have to help lift me up over this wall. Anyway, so the guy came in and it was the groom. The groom came in and he was like shouting back out to this kid, "Go and get so-and-so." So then another guy, because he couldn't lift me. So two of them had to lift me, right?
They're
get
inside.
Me,
They're inside
the castle. Inside the Bounty Castle, because there was like a wall. I mean, it must have been, oh gosh, I don't know. The wall must have been, well, it was taller than me, so it must have been 6 foot, right? But it had like these little holes in it to put your little feet in. But every time I put my feet in to try and get over and grab it, it collapsed back on me, so I couldn't get out where I was so heavy. Right. So they had to push me up and literally launch me over this wall. So anyway, I get over the other side, and as I sort of like drag myself out and I look up and the bride is stood there. "Who are you?" I'm with Mark." "Mark who?" "Oh, I didn't know his surname. I went, just Mark. I just know him as Mark. I'm really sorry." And she's like, "Well, I think you should leave." I said, "Okay." So of course their husband and this other guy, the groom and this other guy, came out and they're laughing like crazy. They're like, "Oh my God, this is a story." And then I thought, right, okay, I need to find this guy that I'm with. And I said, "Is Mark in there?" She says, "I have no idea who you came with. Just go." Really annoyed. Yeah, really annoyed. So, because I think I'd probably been a bit drunk on the dance floor and stuff. I think I'd pissed her off a bit earlier than the bouncy castle incident. So anyway, I walked back and I think, because all the parking was in a field, and I remember the truck that we came in, and I thought, right, I'll go and see if he's there. So I walked over to this truck and I'm trying to put my sandals on as I'm walking over, and I see him and he's like laid underneath the truck at the back. Right. So what on earth is he doing? Anyway, as I got closer, I put the slip of the strap around my heel, but I trip and I fall on him and I literally land straight on his crutch. He sits bolt upright, knocks himself out on the bloody exhaust of the truck. Right? I am so drunk. And I'm like, I'm shaking him going, "Are you alive? Are you alive?" And I'm trying to pull him out and I couldn't, and I'm falling over it and I'm laughing and I'm thinking, don't laugh. This really isn't funny, because I think he was so drunk, he went to sleep half under his truck. So yeah, so then I had to ring 999 because I couldn't wake him up. So then the ambulance shows up and the bride is like, human beyond words, because everything stopped because this ambulance showed up. And this guy got taken off to hospital. And I managed to get a lift in the ambulance to a taxi rank on their way. I mean, he was all right. Don't get me, hang on. He lived. He was absolutely fine. It was just nothing. He just had a massive bump on his head and he was extremely drunk. That's all it was. So yeah, because there was blue lights. You know what it's like when it's dark in the middle of a field and there's blue lights? Everybody's like, "What's going on?" So yeah, because I couldn't wake him up because I landed on him. He shot up, banged his head.
Oh my God.
God, I know, right?
Well,
Absolutely crazy.
what happened next after
Um,
you got your taxi?
Well, I heard the next day through a friend that he came out that night. He was fine. He didn't have concussion. He just bumped his head. He was just really drunk. That's all it was. And I think they released him in the morning or something, or that night. I don't know. But I never saw him again. And nothing actually happened. We never kissed. We never touched. Nothing. Nothing. Well, I touched him, obviously, at that moment. But that was it.
I mean,
So yeah, that was a good few years ago. It was one of my craziest dating stories. That the ambulance arrived and the bride, I never forget the blue lights flashing off her dress.
did he not ever even text you, like, to say?
No. It was really weird because we kind of had this mutual friend, and I said, because I messaged him and he didn't reply.
Oh,
I know. It was no biggie. I mean, I wasn't really that into him or anything. It was just funny. At the time, it was really funny.
yeah.
And when I was laughing, you know, when something is really, really funny at the time, and I was trying to drag him out because I couldn't see him. I just heard this as he'd gone up and hit his head. And I'm trying to drag him out and I couldn't move him. And of course, I just started laughing. And then when I realised he wasn't laughing, and I thought, hello, are you all right under there? You know, and then I thought, oh no. And I must have sat there, which probably seemed like eternity, but it's probably only about 2 minutes. And I thought, I need to ring an ambulance because he's not moving and I know he hit his head.
Oh my God.
So,
Wow.
yeah. So, yeah. And the bride was there again. I don't even know their name. I could roughly work out the date and the area, but I'm not saying. But it was in a big marquee in the countryside in Hampshire.
Wow. Well, I mean,
Yeah. So that's one of
well,
my...
that ends well. You know, I'm sure they're still married, and
I'm sure they're still married, and I'm sure that nobody got. I think Mark just had a bump on his head,
yeah,
and was drunk,
yeah.
and
Oh,
that was to it. So yeah, crazy stories. So if anybody has any crazy stories at all about dating, we'd love to hear from you. So please email.
wedding.
Oh, a wedding, even better at a wedding. Who takes a first date to a wedding? I don't know. But that was just right up my street, though. That was my thing. God, yeah, come on then. Okay. So if anybody has any crazy stories, please write into us because we'd love that. We would show them on here, perhaps even get you on and talk about it.
Yeah.
Share your experiences. That's what Got the T-shirt is all about.
Definitely. And we will talk to you in another podcast soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Poor guy. Well, not poor guy. He was fine. It's just I landed on his bollocks. Hang on, let me fucking take this off. I'm sweating my tits off. I've got a fucking vest on. Right, striptease coming up. Yeah, I did like the first one. And I can't even remember what I did or said, but I did like the first one I did. The first bit I did.
Sorry.
Cut.
And then
my dog needs a wee. Fuck's sake. Hurry up. And today's topic is online dating or why is dating so fucking hard? Right, come on.
Hi, welcome to Got the Podcast. For the love of fucking God.
Fucking God. He's a comedy God. So cut. You've frozen, by the way. Oh, no, you haven't. You're just like super still. That's just your resting face. Fuck. Do you want to start again?
Do you? Yeah, fuck it, why not? Further ado, when do I ever say that?
Right, can I just state, my dog never spends this amount of time in the garden. There we go. She has a little treat afterwards because she's a psycho diva. That's what Frenchies are. So I thought, right, I'll get it out. And now she's like, right, I've had my treat. I've had my water. I need to shit.
So it's 4 words. How hard is it?
So no.
What's wrong with us? fuck's sake.
You know, some of these experiences are mine. You're living through it because I'm on the front all the time. I like the first bloody intro we did, actually.
I can't remember any of it now. That was like yesterday. I can't remember one
Right,
word.
okay. I like the first one.